How's it going? So this is the breakdown of the animated Adidas logo from the logo video. This one's probably gonna be pretty quick. It's very simple, but it does show you a really cool trick in like randomizing things if you have never done it. So let's just jump straight into it. So even so, so like I did even in the original logo video, I pulled from the other project files. So what I'm going to do is append, and if you followed here on Patreon, the first one with the Adidas logo, you'll already have this stuff mapped out as well as the tennis ball model. So what I would do is I'm just going to go here to my project files and then go here and then I made a collection of them. So I would, if you already have the project file of the tennis balls mapped out, make sure you add them to a collection so that you can just add it just like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and delete the random ones. And here's what's really cool about this trick. So I'm just going to highlight everything. We're going to go to Object, Transform, and Randomize Transform. And then here, you can randomize things. So I want to randomize it on the Z-axis, so maybe I'll do it a value of 3. And actually what I'm going to do is set up my camera first, just to make sure that this actually is going to work. So I'm going to hit the tilde key, go to the top, get my camera, then snap that to view. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and select everything. Let's see, there we go. And then we'll randomize transform. And then we'll get the Z. We'll say value of 3. Let's see if that is good enough. Now, here's another trick. Let me bring this back to 0. To get this to be the best looking, honestly, get your camera to say 100 millimeters and then bring it back out. So that is going to keep it as flat as possible when we start moving these balls. So we'll do it again. Object, transform, and then randomize. And then we'll do 3 to see if that looks good. So see how it now looks a little bit better, like the logo is there. We're going to keep it at 3, and we're going to travel the camera through it. So if we take our camera, I'm hitting G and middle click, and we'll just start in like this. And let's just go ahead and animate it now, and then we'll go ahead and put in our floor in a minute. So I'm going to go to my preferences and make sure that my animation is set to Bezier. And then go to the camera. Bezier, I think it's actually pronounced. Okay, so it's the Z, and so I'll say, how long do I want it to be? That seems about right. That feels like a good length of time. All right, that's too fast. And then what I'm going to do now is go to the animation tab, and we're going to edit those keyframes a little bit. So we're going to go to a graph editor. I'm going to hit home, and I'm going to remove this, and then do something like this, do something like this, and let's see how that looks. Perfect. That's a much better feeling animation. So we can start low, speeds up, and then slows down again. Perfect. And then let it linger for maybe 120, all the way to 120. Cool. Now let's go ahead and create the emissive floor for this. So we're going to go ahead and get a plane and bring it below, and then we'll scale it to something like this. Let's see if we can get this to fit properly, because we're going to add a gradient to the edge to make it not just flat white. So here's what we'll do. Let's go here to shading, and I'll show you sort of why we're going to add a gradient. I mean, it's just going to add an extra level of detail here. So I'm going to kill these. We're going to go here to the cycles view. Here on this, we're going to click new. I'm going to go ahead and get an emission. If we plug it here and bring it up, you know, enough to start to light these balls. Notice how it's just one solid white, which is nice, but we want detail. So here's what we'll do. We'll get a color ramp and then a gradient texture. We'll get a mapping for that. And I mean, and things like this, specifically things like this, are really going to are going to separate you from, you know, a novice designer. And this is really less technical skill and more on an observation as getting better of a designer, going, hey, I don't like that it's just one flat white background. I want some detail. So we're going to go here to spherical, and we're going to go to B-spline, and then we're going to bring this in so it's a, you know, smooth gradient. And then we can go and bring up the scale and make it very subtle. See that? Let's show a before and after here. That's before, and this is after. And let's go ahead and give it a little bit of color, kind of a blue. See how we have a bit of a color change? That is drastically better. I'm just going to go ahead and copy the color so we have a nice before and after. So this is before, this is after. It just adds extra detail, and I'll bring up the brightness a little bit too. But we can still maintain that gradient. So again, before, after. You just get a little bit of color, and that goes such a long ways to adding some detail and, you know, intentionality to your design. All right, and that's it. That's the whole thing. Let's go ahead. We can actually just watch it in cycles, I think, because it's simple enough. And there we go. We can render it and see how nice it looks. And there we have it. Finished. It's noisy. I would denoise it, but you guys kind of get the idea of where I was heading with this design of creating an optical illusion and moving these around and coming up with just interesting, cool ideas for your projects. So this one's more focused on design and look and style and idea. And that's the stuff I really love. So with that being said, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting here on Patreon. I really appreciate you guys. And this was a very simple, fun, and I feel like there's some cool stuff to learn here. And I'll see you in the next one.